Welcome back, MECH 1350. We're going to get into Chapter 11. We just got done doing all of our programs, our shapes programs. So we got our box, our triangle, our square, or our circle. Sorry about that. We got all those done. Now we're going to learn how to copy and edit programs. And then later on we can take these programs and we're going to do more things with them. All right. So copying and editing programs are going to be in Chapter 11 in your manual. All right, so how are we going to do this? Some of you guys, as we've worked through some of the programs, I've shown you some of these things along the way, but this is going to get kind of heavy duty into understanding how to do all this. And then we're going to do Lab 14, which incorporates doing some of these things, okay? All right, so we're going to be able to insert blank lines, delete lines, insert program instructions, replace items, renumber position IDs. We've already kind of done that in some of your programs. We're going to learn how to copy a program and the different ways that we can paste a program and add in comments. We've already kind of done some of that with our position registers and things like that. All right, so when we want to copy programs, all right, first thing we need to do, make sure that we hit the select screen or the select button on the teach pendant, okay? So from there, it's going to give us all these different options once we go to the program. So this is just like from the menu where we start creating a program. We can do the same thing here. All right, so you're going to hit select on the teach pendant. So we can copy programs, we can delete programs. Biggest thing about deleting a program is once it's deleted, it's gone forever. Okay, so you will never be able to recover that program. It's gone, it's gone. Also, you won't be able to delete a program if you're in the middle of it. You have to do abort all, press function 1, abort all, and get out of that. And then we can rename a program. So say you mistype something, or remember that we can't have spaces in our verbiage. So you can go back and kind of fix that, or it won't even let you record it if you do that. Okay, so we can do it from a couple different ways here. So from the main screen, right, if we hit select, we can see, remember, we created our program there. We can also delete the program there. We can monitor it there. If we hit the next button gives us the ability to copy a program or step into the detail of the program. And if we want to rename the program, we step into the detail. We can also load a program, and then we can do a save as is, and we can print the program out if we want to. Okay? Just remember, if you're in that current program, I just said it a few minutes ago, we're going to hit function 1, abort all. That way that it's not stuck in the middle of trying to run that program, as you're deleting it. We should get used to where this is. We've had some errors, task where our task, it can't run the task because it's being used by something else. So we've hit this error a few times, so this one shouldn't be too hard to clean up. Okay, so next, in our edit command, this is where, instead of hitting shift coordinate and making sure that you're in your user frame and your tool frame, this is where you can actually put it into the program as your first couple of lines. Alright, so when you do that, that's under the edit command. So when you're in your program, remember where we have point or touch up. If you hit the next arrow, you'll get to this screen that has instructions and edit command. So make sure that you're doing that when you write your program. So remember, just to reiterate once again, when you're in your program, right where you hit shift point and record all your points and move the robot around, if you hit the next key at the top on the teach pendant, it'll give you the options to do instruction and edit command. All right, edit commands, we're going to go through a lot here with edit command. So here's where we can insert lines, we can delete lines, we can copy lines, we can replace lines, we can renumber lines, all kinds of different things. We can add our remarks in when we do that. So when we're getting into editing a program, okay, so insert, okay, that's when we're going to add, extra lines or extra commands into the program so that we don't overwrite data. So you don't have to go back to that line and rewrite a point or something like that. We can insert like a blank line or things like that. Delete, and I'm going to walk through you guys on this, with a live lab as far as deleting, all right, and how we delete multiple lines versus how we delete just a single line. We can cut, copy, and paste different lines or a specified number of lines. All right, find allows you to search for the next instance of an instruction. That one's pretty obvious. replace, so we can get in there and different registers, speed, termination type, all those different things in there. We can renumber the positions so that the program can go in reverse order. I've shown you guys some of that when I'm like, hey, just record 3 dummy points and then we'll reverse the numbers out of there. So same kind of concept there. We can add a comment, okay? So you can see comments in the edit screen. We can undo. When you do an undo, it only undoes the last edit that you did. If you do undo twice, it ends up being a redo, if that makes sense. So you can only do the last command. If you undo and undo, it's a redo, if that makes sense. All right. So remark allows you to disable instructions. So that's kind of like when we're programming and we want to test a line and we comment it out so that the program will skip that line of code. Same kind of thing with a remark. We want to test something out. Maybe there's a bad point, or we keep getting an error only at this one point because you accidentally recorded in joint instead of world. But we can remark out this point, all right, and be able to still run our program, just skip through that point, and then we can come back and fix that point as we need to. Okay, so under edit command, this is the first one. All your programs from now on, you're going to use your user frame and your tool frame as we go through this, and you're going to hard code it in the program. So then it does not matter if you hit shift coordinate and you don't have the right user frame or tool frame. As long as you're putting it into the program, shouldn't have an issue here. Okay, I always want you to put these at the top of the program. Okay, so when you do this, move your cursor all the way to the top, and then we're going to do the edit command, and we're going to insert. Okay, and we need to insert 2 lines. Okay, so if we wanted to insert 1 line, we would press enter twice. But it'll say insert, then it'll tell you how many lines you want to do, and you can hit 2 and then hit enter. Okay, so that's how that's going to go. You're going to want to enter in 2 lines there. Okay, then you're going to go up to the first line and you're going to do the edit command, all right, and say we want to delete, okay, 2 lines. So you're going to go to delete, move the cursor first to the line that you want to delete, and then once you hit delete, you can use the up and down arrows, and whatever it highlights in bold will delete. So if I start at line 1 and I hit the down arrow multiple times, it'll delete however many lines I go down to. So whatever's going to be highlighted in black, like on the frame on the screen here, you see that line 1 is highlighted in black. Okay, when you go down and do that, all right, if 2, 3, 4, and 5, if those are all highlighted in black as well, okay, then it will delete all 4 of those lines. So whatever's deleted, all right, it'll do. If you just want to delete 1 line, leave the cursor on that line, delete, and then yes. All right, and we'll kind of walk through that. I'll help you through that in class when we're doing everything hands-on. Okay. So in order to copy, cut, paste a program or a line, so maybe you just want to replace, instead of recording like your home position, right? We have our PR home. So instead of going down and recording a line and editing it and changing it to whatever PR, you can go to that line and we can hit the edit command. You can go down into copy and cut and you can select copy. Same way with delete. If you want to copy like 3 or 4 lines at a time, you just hit the down button or the down arrow on the teach pendant, and whatever's highlighted, it will copy all of those in that order. And then we're going to have different paste instructions as we do that. So we're going to get down and get into the hardcore paste instructions. There's 5 or 6 different paste instructions that you're going to go through and be able to do this. Very important when we do the paste instruction, because it's going to kind of depend on what we're doing in real life. It makes it easier for, if we have a robot that maneuvers up and into a position, well, why would you want to reprogram all the different points for the robot to move out of that when you can copy all those lines and then just repaste them in a different order? So it saves you a whole bunch of programming on the robot because you've done all the programming to get it to that position, all right? And then you can just copy and paste all your lines in a different order, and it'll back out of that same position the exact same way that you sent it in. So it saves you from writing, 5 to 10 lines of code doing that sort of thing. So very important that we get into the paste commands and understand that. You're going to have a few labs where you've got to go through that and use the different type of paste commands. And when you use the wrong paste command, it's going to screw up your program. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to fix that, delete those lines, and then use the correct paste command when you go through there. This will make more sense to you guys, when we get hands-on. Right now we're just going through the different paste commands. Okay, so I'll step back a slide just real quick. All right, we're going to copy. So copy, like 5 lines of code. Okay, we're going to go down, and then in your lab you're going to choose one of these. Well, we have to understand, what the different paste commands do. All right, because you're going to get this choice. I'm going to step back a screen. You're going to get the choice to do logic. I'm on the second to last bullet point here. You're going to get the choice to do logic, position ID, position, R logic, R position ID, RM position ID, R position, RM. The R stands for reverse, so it reverses everything out. Okay? So if we do a basic logic paste, so if we look at the program on the left and the program on the right, okay, it's all one program, but you can see what we did is we copied all the positions on the left. All right, so say we wrote the first 6 lines on the left-hand side of the screen here. Okay, those are the first 6 lines of code we did, and then we copied those 6 lines and we pasted it using logic. What did it keep? Okay, notice it kept everything that we did, the movements, the speeds, all those different things. But what did it not keep? It didn't keep the position numbers. It only kept the logic, what was going on at those positions. So whether it was a joint movement or a linear movement, it kept it. Okay, and then it kept the exact same speeds, but it did not record the position IDs. So notice position 1, 2, 3, and 4 are missing from that. The 1 is still with the digital out. Okay, the output 1 is on. Okay, that it still keeps because that's still a logic. So we copied the lines exactly as they were. We just didn't record the position numbers because you might want to call those different position numbers later on, so you can go in and edit those. If you left the program as is, these 12 lines, it would not work because there are not position numbers recorded for lines 7 through 12. You'd have to go and give them position numbers. Okay, so let's take a look at if we use position ID. So this is paste if you hit F3 on the teach pendant. What did this one do? It pastes exactly everything over. It pastes the movements. So it takes all the logic, it copies all the logic just like the first one did, and it keeps the position IDs. So that's what this one does. It keeps the logic and the position IDs when you do this paste. Okay. Then, what does it do in this one? What did it do differently? If we copied the first 6 lines and we pasted the 6 lines in, it keeps the logic, just like the logic did, but now instead of keeping the position numbers, it automatically gives you the next available position numbers. Okay? So let me step back one slide. This is F3. It copied everything verbatim. So lines 1 through 6, copied and pasted were 7 through 12. It kept the logic and the position numbers the exact same. In this case, what we were just talking about, if we do the paste position, okay, if we do paste position, it takes the first 6 lines of code, keeps all the logic, all the joints, all the speeds, all that's the same, and then gives it the next 5 or the next available position IDs, which is 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's really the difference between F3 and F4, is one keeps the old position numbers, the other one keeps all the exact movements. It even keeps the coordinate. So the coordinate for position 1 and position 5, line 1 and line 7 up here, it's the same coordinate, only we just gave it in line 7, we gave it a different position ID number. So that's really just the difference between those 3 paste commands. Alright, now let's do the R position ID. So what did this do? Okay, we're still working with the same sample program, so lines 1 through 6, we copied and pasted them. Okay, what did it do when we pasted them? It kept the same logic, so linear joint movements and speed, but what did it do? It reversed the position IDs. It kept them the same, but do you see the entire lines were reversed? So now line 1 is the same as line 12. Line 2 is the same as line 11. Line 3 is the same as line 10. Line 4 is the same as line 9. Line 5 is the same as line 8, and line 6 is the same as line 7. So this is what I was talking about before, where we move a robot in and up into a position, okay? And then we don't want to have to reprogram everything for it to move out of that position. We just do a paste our position ID. So it takes all those lines and reverses back out from where it was. So it's really cool on that. So it saves you writing 6 lines of code by just doing copying and reversing the position ID, and the robot will end up where it started. So very cool on that paste command there. Okay, so what does it do on this one? It's very similar. All right, it takes reverse position. So it takes our lines 1 through 6. It reverses the order, it swaps them out, just like it did in the very last slide, only now, instead of keeping the same position IDs, it gives them the next new available ones. So, okay, and so instead of remember line 1 and line 12 are the same, but instead of calling position 1 in line 12, we're going to call it position 5, the next available. So it'll give it 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're just changing the position IDs to the next possible positions. Okay, so very, very important. So we can do reverse path pasting. All right, so it makes it very, very easy for you guys. Okay, so when we do this, okay, we can use the up or down cursor, remember, when we're copying, to select the lines that we want. Okay, and then we can use the RM position ID and the RM position keys. They don't paste all the instructions exactly as they're written. They just reverse the motions, okay? So what they do is they reconstruct all the motions for you. So when we're using RM for either one of these, all right, so that it occurs at the proper places in the path when we do this, okay? So let's look at this one. So it's still our same sample program on the left-hand side, lines 1 through 6, okay? But now what did it do? Okay, did it reverse them? So we'll try to compare some lines. So in this case, okay, all the instructions except motion instructions are in the reverse order. Motion instructions are created using the current and the next motion instruction. So it renumbers the copy positions with the next available numbers, just like we did. So if you look almost kind of straight across, all right, which one's kind of swapped? If we look at line 5 in the original program and we look at line 8 in the pasted program, you'll see that those two match. If we look at line 2 and we look at line 12, those two match. So what swapped, okay, were the other programs. So line 1, okay, swapped essentially with line 11, okay, but then it cut it, oh I'm sorry, that was 4 and 11 swapped when it did that. But it did all the different calculations. So you notice how it switched some of these around so that everything would work more appropriately. Alright, so we can do the find command. So this helps you if you want to jump to a certain line quicker. So instead of having to toggle along and toggle down, alright, so you can place your cursor on line 1 of the program, and then we can use the find command. It's going to search down. Alright, so you can press enter with the cursor on line 4 and hit find, and select what you want to find from the sub. So if you want to find certain IO or if statements or those sort of things, it'll let you kind of go there, or certain registers. Alright, so we want to replace. Alright, so you're going to go down to the replace command and select what you want to replace, whether, we already kind of did this when we took a position ID and we replaced it with a PR. all right, using our choice command. So it was kind of similar to doing something along those lines when we moved over. Okay, so same kind of concept there. Say we want to renumber some lines. Okay, so we can go down to renumber. We're still doing everything out of the edit command. You're going to go down to number 6 and you can renumber. So it's going to renumber, okay, any of the positions sequentially. So it's going to keep the like positions. So like if you had 2 position 1s or 2 position 2s, it'll keep those the same, but it's going to renumber all the others. You know, sometimes you want to do that when you'll see when you've copied and pasted your program in and you've inserted it into like the middle of a program. So you want to renumber everything. So it goes in order, so it's not going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, 15, 14, you know, 7, 8, 6, 5. You can do it so it'll just renumber everything, so everything will go in a nice, smooth, orderly fashion for your position numbers. Alright, so edit commands. Okay, we've kind of done this one already. So we can press edit, and this is, you know, you can do position 1 and say that it's your pick. Okay, so on here, if we're looking at the screen, alright, and we look at our different comments. So line 3, line 5, and line 6 contain comments. So it's kind of how you made a comment when you did your position registers, right? You did your name and you did home, safe, and you did maintenance. Those were all comments describing what was going on at that position register. So if we look at line 3 in this code, you have pick. If we look at line 5, okay, you have MECH number. If you have line 6, you have robot speed. Those are comments that are tied to those registers or those positions, so you know what's going on. Alright, if we look at line 4 is the remark, which means it's just a remark in the program. It's not an executable command. So you would have to insert a blank line there, insert a remark, and that remark tells you what's going on in that part of the program. It's technically like a comment in a normal program. So when we've done Arduino stuff or things like that, you know, and you use a // and then after that's a comment. Same kind of concept here, but we're using it as a remark. So the difference between a comment and a remark is a comment goes into the position or a register or position register that says what that position is doing or what's at that position. Where are we at? So like home. Alright, a remark tells what the program is doing specifically in that program, not the specific position or register, position register, but what the program is doing. So when we enter a remark, that's what you see on line 4. Okay, and then we have the undo command. Alright, so say you didn't like the edit that you did to that, you can go back and undo it, and it'll undo it to what you previously did. Remember that you can only undo a command once, the previous command, because if you undo and undo, it ends up being a redo. Alright, so you want to make sure that you're really paying attention when you guys do that. Alright, moving forward here. And I've just kind of done that and gone through this. So when an undo works, alright, when you're touching up or modifying them, you know, a point. So say you're like, you touched up a point, you're like, no, I touched up the wrong point. You can go back and undo it, alright, and it'll only undo that specific last thing you did. You can undo deleting or inserting. You can undo copying, okay? It can undo a paste. So say you didn't paste the right lines in or things like that. You can undo it, yeah, because you don't want to go back and delete like 5 or 6 lines. You can just undo, and it'll undo your last paste, okay? So it's just, you just got to be careful with the undo command, though. It's not like when you're in Word or Excel and you can hit undo like 5 or 6 times. You can only hit undo once, because remember, an undo is a redo. So we just got to be real careful when we're going through our programs like that. Alright, so here's the limitation. It doesn't work in a background edit. It doesn't work in a write-protected program. You can't edit a write-protected program anyways. So you can't recover a deleted program. So it's not like the little recycle bin on Windows where you deleted something and you're like, oh crap, I didn't mean to delete that, and you go back in the recycle bin and restore it. You cannot do that here. Alright, once it's gone, and it won't undo if there's not enough memory. Okay? So You can't change and undo if any of these other things happen. So if the power goes off in the middle of your program and then you needed to undo something, it's not going to keep. You're not going to be able to undo it. It's going to be stuck with whatever it was. Okay, if you have another program with the same name is loaded in an overwrite mode, it won't undo, and a program adjust is executed. So if you've already edited the program and made an adjust, the undo won't work there as well. All right, I've already talked about remarks, so I'm not going to get into it too much, what the remark looks like or how we're going to add the remark. But you know, it's just the // like we talked about before. It's, you know, as that relates to like Arduino and things like that. So it just, you know, it's just different lines of code that it won't execute, okay, as you go through. Does that make sense? It skips over those lines so you can use them to troubleshoot or do those sort of things. Okay. So what we're going to be doing now is you're going to be doing lab 14. All right, so now in lab 14, make sure that you follow all the procedures that it tells you to do in the order it tells you to do them. Very important. Some of you guys have kind of been struggling following the procedures. Make sure you're doing this one. So we are going to select, modify, and execute programs using the edit commands. So you're going to go into your shapes program and you're going to copy and paste the different chunks out, the box, the circle, and the triangle, and you're going to make 3 separate programs out of that program using the different paste commands and things like that. So just make sure when you're naming a program that you're naming, you know, it based on your first name or last name, whatever I told you to do when you do that. Okay. Remember, any questions, ask me in class. Also, I'm going to put together lab videos so you'll see some of these happening kind of, you know, in real time and things like that, so that you can see what's going on. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you in class.